welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. I'm happy to be here today to show you a really simple skyline painting. And I have already started it by painting in the buildings with black gesso and or black acrylic, whatever you have. I let it dry and then I put on a masking tape. Now, I used a wide roll of masking tape. They're a little bit difficult to find, but it's worth it. You can use you know, cheap masking tape. It's just that the layers will be smaller for you to cut through, so sometimes it doubles up, it's a little harder. So I buy this real wide masking tape for projects like this, and it makes it much easier. What I have done is a little finger test on my palette, and all I did was take a little white and I mixed it in each of my dark colors. This way I can see which color is what, so I don't go and put the brush in a color that I didn't plan to use at that time. I put a little bit of my oil. I have an oil that I use for the paint to make it move a little easier. And you can't see it on here because I've already soaked up my brush with it. But what I'm going to do to start is I'm just going to spread just a little bit of this oil. See, I had a little paint on there already, and hardly at all. You will not probably be able to see this. I just want to lubricate the canvas just a little, and just going to touch it and see if it helped a little, and I think I need a little bit more. So I'm just taking my dropper. I'm going to pick my palette up because it will drip on there. So I am just taking my dropper, putting a little bit of oil on there, and I'm going to just tap it into my brush. Okay, so back to my palette and just basically going to smooth a little on. I can see a little bit of a shine now. I'm not sure if you can, but I'm going right over those buildings. This is going to be water down here. And there we go, just to make the paint move a little bit better. Now, I quite often use the white fast flow, Wilson Bickford's white fast flow. However, since I want this to be a night sky, I don't want that white fast flow mixing with the colors. So I just put a little bit of the clear on there. And hopefully that'll be enough. If I see that I'm struggling to push the paint and it's not moving, then I could always add a little bit more. So just to start, I'm going to go into the blue. Now this is Ultramarine Blue. You can see how nice and rich that is. And what I do on the top of the canvas, I'll be doing on the bottom of the canvas. So let me move this over there, I think. And here we go. So I'm going to start in here with some nice rich blue. And I'm doing X strokes right now, and I can do some circles, anything that seems to be working to get that paint in there. Like I said, we want a nice, rich, dark sky. And this is a pretty big canvas. This is a 16 by 20 Wilson Bickford signature canvas. And it has a nice tooth to it. It's not too small and it's not too big. And what I mean by tooth is these little crevices in the canvas. It's called a tooth. And this one is kind of in between. So it works well for everything. So you can see I'm just kind of blending while I'm pushing that paint in there. Doesn't matter if I go over those buildings, and just coming right across. You can see I'm kind of scrubbing it in there. Now, of course, when you're doing this at home, you'll take your time and really get all the paint in there. You can see I made a little dome here that could be like some kind of a dome, you know, a planetarium or something. And this is just, like I said, a made up little buildings there. Not any place in particular. Okay, so I'm going to come down under here and do the same thing and get some of this blue in there. And see, I'm Xing, doing some Xing here just to get that paint in there. I'm working a little hard. You can see I'm pushing pretty good. And like I said, I didn't want it too slippery, but I did want the paint to at least move back and forth. Okay, so you can see how fast. Once I put this paint on, it's already looking like a nice skyline there. Okay, so I'm just smoothing it out. I'm lifting up the pressure so I'm blending while I am painting. Okay, there we go. So we have some nice blue. Now what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to leave my palette on the side here. I'm not even going to wash out my brush. I'm just going to come in and I'm going to get some Dioxazine Purple. Okay, and I already did it. I already dunked my brush in the blue by accident. That's okay though. So I'm tapping. I'm just tapping the paint into my brush, okay, just to get some in there, and going to start at the top now, and look at that rich purple. Now you may not see this much purple in the sky, and that's okay. It's just the idea to make it look like a rich dark sky. I could always add a little black in there and a little white and gray it down. So I'm going to just do the purple for now and then see. We'll just kind of wing it and see how the purple looks. I love purple, so depends how realistic you want your painting to look. This painting is not going to be realistic. Just the idea to get a nice skyline painting in, and I do like the idea of you picking a place where you like, or maybe where have you have visited before. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here. Looks like I did hit a little black there. That was near it. That's all right. Get this nice purple on there. And to me, it looks a little too purple. So I'll show you what we can do to tone that down a little bit. I like it, but I would like to just show you what to do. So here is my purple right here. All right. Now, if I take a little bit of the black and I come in there and I mix up some of that black and just take a little bit of the white, you can see what I will get is kind of like a purpley lavender color. We can take a little more black, tone that down. So we can change the color of the sky, make it more gray purple. That was a lot of black. So that's my fault for not tapping. There we go. So I can come in with this color now, which you can see I just mixed up a gray, but I still put that purple in there this way for color harmony. It still has that base of purple. And I could just come in here and there we go, presto. Can change that color around, okay? So I'm just going to put a little bit. I don't want to fuss too much. I just want to give you, the instructions on how you can do it easily. And that just kind of took some of that purple away. We can come down here. I'm pushing a little harder to get some of that gray kind of purple off. And I'm going to show you how to blend in between. There we go. Okay, so you can see I turned it down a notch there, so to say. And I get more in the middle. Okay, so now what I will do is I'm going to pick up a paper towel in my hand. And I'm just going to pounce a little bit of this color out of the brush. Okay, you don't have to wash the brush, but just pounce them out. You can see how much you can get out. You can squeeze a little, get some color out. Now, in between the two colors, I'll come in with a light touch. I'm barely touching. If I see that it's blending, I don't have to push any harder, okay? If it's not blending, then yes, I do have to come in and push a little harder to move that paint. So I'm just going to come across and blend in between the colors, just so there's not that harsh line in there. All right, and since I didn't have that much paint on there, it's pretty good. I don't have to keep wiping my brush off, but I will a little bit. And you can see I have some little bit of white peeking through. If you get a hair from the brush, the best way to do it is you just pluck it up. Okay, come back, wipe that off. Now I can work on that sky more. We'll see if we have time. I could always go back. Same thing, X stroke. I'll do slow motion, X stroke. Sometimes you have to stay in the same spot a whole bunch of times to get it to blend. Okay, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes up to 10 times. And you go back and forth, even and out. Moving back over, I'm picking up a lot of purple, so I'll just wipe my brush off a little bit more. And coming right across the bottom and right over. And I can sweep across. There we go. Okay, and you can do the same thing up here. Now, what I'd like to do is put some clouds in, some stormy clouds, or not necessarily stormy clouds, just clouds you might happen to see at nighttime. You know, so of course at night they don't show as much, but I like the idea of moving some of these colors a little more together. See, as I look at it, I can tell. And of course, if I stood back, I still would probably want to make changes, but just the idea to show you. And I love those colors. Blue and purple looks nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bounce brush, which is from my original product line, and let's see, I want to make a nice dark color, so it has to be a little darker there. So I'm going to take some black and just move it over here. Take a little bit of blue, and I do want to add some white in there because we want like a gray, a dark color, something different than what's already up there, okay? So I'm just mixing it with the bounce brush. This can also be done with a fan brush. You can make clouds with a lot of brushes. I made this idea of bouncing the paint on the canvas for my beginners, okay? So we've been using this brush for a couple years now and everybody seems to like it. Here we go. So we can bounce on the clouds or we can just swirl them on. It depends if how you want your clouds. If you want your cloud formation tops really to be distinct, you could bounce, 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 okay? But in this case, I'm just going to roll some on here. I want to make sure I have enough time to finish because it takes a bit of time for those buildings. So I can see some of the color on there. It may not be dark enough, so I'll go back and add a little bit more black, a little bit more blue. Just going to darken it up just to make sure you can see it. But I think you get the idea of it, that all you have to do is make a different color of what you already have there, okay? So maybe we'll come in here so you can see it better. I don't think you'll be able to see it too much up there. And we'll get a couple of these swirled clouds in, okay? There we go. And I'll get a little more paint, come up here. So I'm just swirling them in this time. A lot of times we bounce them and then we blend out the bottom, but for now I'm just swirling them. Okay, so once I get the cloud formations in with just the tip of the brush, I just use this tip. Now we can just start blending out the bottom a little. And then really to make them distinct, I'm going to put a lighter color on top and then you'll really start to see those clouds. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this one or not so well, so I'll work a little over here. Same thing with that dark purple. But once we get that white in there, it is going to pick some up and you'll be able to see it more. Now, I think we can put another couple clouds down here. As they get closer to the horizon, the clouds usually look a little smaller and all. And I'll make them more in the distance. So I want to do an uneven number of clouds. And there we go. That'll be the last one there. Okay, and I'll bring that over just for a little bit of variation. So you can see I put the paint on with the tip of the brush and then I just blend it with the whole brush. Okay? So this is a pretty cool brush. It's just a utility brush, but I made up this method of using it, and we really like it in class. Just makes things a lot easier for us. There we go. So now that that's all blended out, I can take a paper towel and I can wipe out the bounce brush a little bit and see if I can get enough paint out of there. Otherwise, I would just take a, wash it out. For the sake of time, I'm just going to wipe it, see if that's enough. And I'll go into some white paint now. And that's okay. It's going to turn a little bit of gray from the color I had in there. And I'm just kind of distributing the paint a little by tapping it, okay? So I call it the bounce brush because of, bouncing. You can use it any way that you want. Try different applications with it. So I'm just going to come in here and just roll a little bit of this on the top. We don't want it too white. And then we'll blend it out. So you can see I'm not adding more paint. I'm just letting it pick up a little what's there. All right, just thinking of a cloud formation. And of course, cloud formations can be anything. You look at the sky and every minute the clouds change. So there's no right or wrong with clouds. All right, so like I said, I'm not even adding more paint. I want the variation in it. And you'll see that cloud starting to show more now that I put some of that white. And I'll just move it on over, okay? So now I will wipe off a little bit of paint. So just to make sure I don't have too much in there, I'm going to go back and blend again. And one thing I did forget was if we have clouds in the sky, we should put some in the water too. It has a little reflection. So I can always come back and put a little of that. Just want to make sure I remember to tell you that. All right, so see, I'm just blending out. I'm not going all the way to the top of the cloud, but if I do, that's okay too. Just blending, blending, blending. Okay, you can work on that longer, of course. I'm just doing it real fast for you. So I paint fast and talk fast, so you may have to back up a little bit and watch it a couple times so you can, really see what I'm doing. If you have any questions when you're painting, feel free to write to me, and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so we have some clouds in there. And I'll just come back in and put a couple in the bottom. Now the bottom, I don't have to exactly mimic the top. It's okay if I don't. Just the idea to get a little bit in. So if we're up here, I'll just come in and get some of this gray in here this way. I mean, since it is a reflection and who knows what the angle, what the buildings would be blocking. So it's fine either way. I'll come in here. Just going to kind of just roll in a little bit of the gray. So there's some in this blue here, because this would be here, this blue. So I'm just rolling in some in this time. Same thing, I rolled a little in here, brought it over this way, and up here. There we go. Okay. So, there we go. And a little bit more gray. All right. So, same thing. I'm just going to come back in with the white and just barely put some white in. Remember, this is a reflection, okay? So, however way we get that in there, it's distorted. The reflection is always distorted. All right, so just the idea to get some of this white in there, and then I'll just come blend out just like I did on top. All right, so this is a good way to get some dark clouds. I just wanted to show you some dark clouds today, sorry. I think tonight because I'm doing a dark scene. There we go. So just a little reflection in that water, and that's that for some nice clouds, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I am going to come in and peel off the tape. So I have 2 pieces plus a little small one, so hopefully I won't have too much trouble peeling this tape off. And sometimes it sticks so well that it's hard to get off. See that? There's all the tape, half of it anyway. And I could see underneath, it did pick up a little bit of the gesso. All right, and that's okay. I'm going to get my knife out, and with my knife, I'm going to lift it up, okay? If you don't have fingernails, just get the knife out. It's not so bad. See, so little by little, takes a minute or so, and you can manage to peel this tape up. But it is worth it to get this big tape, okay? Because otherwise, if you had the thin tape, you have to keep peeling. And I see some white around the buildings. That's fine. We can always color that in. We can paint right over there. All right, I have this little piece in here, and I can fight with this a little bit more. Oops, there we go. So I love this tape off method, and it is worth it. Some people don't like to do it, and you could just come in here now with black paint and paint these buildings in. That's fine too. I just like to show you know, different ideas for beginners just to make things a little easier, okay? So I'm going to put this down, get rid of this tape since I have it stuck all over me, and we'll go back to painting. Here we go. So I'm taking a big flat brush, and I am going to come into the black paint. I'm not using a lot of paint, but now I can come in here, and this is when I can come around and fix up all this white spots here with the black, okay? So, oops, I just moved it right over. I'm trying to paint on an angle here. I can just come in that and blend that. I could blend that out later on, see? Just fix that up a little bit. Coming back into my black and coming here. So you can see, if you take your time, you can come in and go over those little white spots showing. Because you want your buildings to be a silhouette, which means they're dark, okay? So what I'm going to do is just to speed things up a little, I am going to come and get some of my oil, and this will help the paint get a little looser, all right? So I'm going to dip my brush in some oil, come back into my black, and here we go. I'll come in and fix up a little these edges, and I thought I went in the purple there, say that, but it looks like the black. So what I would do is come in and fix all these edges. Now I may not have time to fix all these edges, but just want to give you an idea. So what I'd like to do is every edge that you see like this, you come in with the chisel edge of the brush and you can fix those, okay? So I'd like to just show you the idea of the painting, and then I can always come back and fix the edges, okay? I want to make sure I have enough time. I do want to fix that real big one on the bottom there. All right, and it's not really fixing, it's just the idea of oops, I have an oops moment of covering. All right, so I'm going to come in here, get my black. I have a little purple mixed in there, but it's a dark color. So you can see I can go across and cover all of this, all right? Now, I want to show you the reflection. Before I do anything, I want to make sure we get that reflection in there. So I'm coming into the black. I'm going to find my medium on here, it's dripping around. Loosen up the paint a little. You can see how it's getting a little thinner there. All right. So here's how we do the reflection. Here is one building, so we'd come down and just pull. All right, and this one maybe is a little shorter here. All right, so this is how we just pull our reflection down. This building would come maybe to about here. It doesn't have to be perfect, the angle or anything. I'm just putting in a little bit of that top there and pulling down, okay? So I would just quickly come across and get these buildings in. Here we go, coming across, coming across. All righty. And you can see I'm just coming up to that paint where I loosened it up a little. Here's that little dome over here. Can paint that in this way. Here's another building. Now, like I said, you can really take your time, do this as exact as you want. I just want to show you how to do it. And look, I'm going right over my cloud here. Couldn't help that. I put them a little bit too close to the ground. And you can see I just keep coming back, getting a little more paint. Another building, another building. So once we lay out some of this dark paint, then we can come back and blend it out. So it looks a little sloppy for now, but see, you can come in, neaten up your tops. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my big brush. It already has some dark on there, so that's okay. And just going to pull down. I'm going to pull down. Here's how we're doing our building reflection. Pull down. Okay. There we go. So now I bet you can already see that it looks like a reflection. Like I said, I'm kind of painting a little sloppy here because I'm trying to hurry to get this lesson out for you. And I would want to come in there and fix up that white in there. See, so I can just kind of cover it. See, I'm just kind of pushing it in there. And then we'll just come across, very gently come across. All right, there we go. So that is our reflection. Now, you can see that I have some paint in here, but what you would do is you would come back with your black and take your time and very neatly fill in all of your buildings. I just want to show you how to do a couple of windows, all right? So once you paint all black and fill in all your edges and all, you can take a, I'm going to take the flat brush. You can take the flat brush and you can come in to some white. You don't even have to clean it. And maybe a little yellow. And you can come in to your painting and just kind of tap back and forth. So it looks like rows of windows, okay? You can come in and tap. Now, I don't have the black paint underneath here, but I'm just going to show you. You can come in and tap. So it looks like some of the windows are on. So that's one way you can do it. Okay. Another way is you can take a smaller brush, a smaller flat brush, and you can actually put your windows in that way. I'm just mixing a little bit of this yellow. Okay. And you can come in and you can just put in your windows like this. See? Just use the width of the brush. That'll make it easier for you. And you can come in and put your windows in this way. All right, so it's a little dry under there because I didn't put the black paint, the black oil paint. But just wanted to show you two different ways to put those windows in. Okay, the other thing is to kind of decorate this painting is, I'm just going to hold these brushes in my hand so I can go back to them. You can take a script liner. Usually we liquefy this script liner with thinner and make it loose. But this time I'm just going to come in and just pick some paint up. Because what we can do is, say this would be the street, okay? We can come in and just kind of dab some color in, make it look like some background lighting. This is more impressionistic, so you can just kind of dab it around. So maybe over here, there may be some little background lights. And this is the way we will put some color in. And of course, what you put up top, you can come in and you can just put a little mimic of it down here, okay? And see, it just picks up that bottom paint too, so that's good. So what you would do is you would keep adding and adding and adding, okay? So just come in and put some little red. You can see I'm just kind of pushing it on there, okay? Then without even washing the brush, you can come in, I'm just dragging it. You can see what I'm doing, I'm just dragging it through the yellow. And same thing, you can come in and you can start to tap on some yellow, just to give the illusion of maybe there's something there in the street, some lights or something. And in between, you can go back and fill in some more of your windows and your background here. So, like I said, this is something you would take your time with and come in and put in some yellows and some reds, and you know, you can see I'm just tapping them in just to give an illusion maybe there's some kind of a, you know, building in the back or lights or, you know, whatever you can put in there. Same thing, just come in here, mimic a little, get some yellow in. And that's always blurred, so that's okay. We got some red, and you go back and forth between the red and the yellow, doesn't matter. All right, so I'd like to put a few more windows in my, my buildings just so you can get a better idea. And I'll go back to this color here, like a white yellow, and come across. There we go. All righty. There we go, see? So I would skip some parts here, so this way it looks like not all the windows are on. You can use your corner of your brush or straight across, whichever way you want, and make them uneven. So just so it looks like when you look at the buildings, you'll see that some have lights on, some don't, okay? But once you start filling in more and more, then it looks very nice. And you can come in also down here in your reflection, and you can tap some in. Okay, so see, I just want to get some in there just so you get the idea. And at home, you'll do a great job. You'll take a couple hours on this, and you'll have a beautiful skyline painting. All right, so see, I'm not copying exactly, just going back and forth. Okay, I would do the same thing. I'd get my brush in here and put those little windows. I'll just do a little more in here. All right. And there we have it, just the idea to show you. So what you would do is you would paint all this in black oil, then come back. This paint will kind of, you know, it will blend a little, and that's what you want. You don't want it to stand out too much, but you can see it. Just come in and just tapping, tapping, tapping across. Now you can see here I had some oil under there, so you can see these windows are not as bright as these, okay? And that's really a little bit more of what you want, but just for the sake of this lesson, I think that you'll understand how to do it, at least, and get these in there. And it's a nice little painting. And like I said, love to see some pictures. If anybody does this at home, please send me some pictures. I like to see what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to go back to my little flat brush now. And then we're going to start wrapping it up, just so we'll get a few more square windows in here. All right, there we go. Nice bright windows. You can come in, and if you feel they're too bright, you could just take any other color, and you can just put a little darkness in there just so it looks like a little more interest in the painting. Okay, so there you have it. Like I said, you know, make sure that when you're painting this, you paint all this in the black oil, make it nice and rich, fix up your white edges, then come in, take your time, put in windows, take a look at pictures. This way you get ideas, all right? You could just go through the internet, take a look at millions of pictures, and you'll get a great inspiration from that. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in today, and you can come and view my shows at my website at www.lucysworldofpainting.com, and come find me on Facebook too. Thank you for having me in your home, and hope you like the painting.